Hi, I'm Bob Ethington.
And I'm Nicholis.
And this is From Akron and Beyond. And we are back with part two of our two-parter with Robert Kidney and Jack Kidney of the Numbers Band. And we've been talking about their early influences and early days of the Numbers Band. And we're going to bring it now towards more recent history and talk about the band in its current incarnation and what they're up to. Nick, I'll hand it off to you where we stopped with during part one.
Yes, so where we left off, Bob told us some great stories about Europe and also his involvement with the Golden Palominos. But I seem to remember that Jack had something to do with performing with Frank Black of the Pixies, or maybe even the Pixies, but being on late night TV with him. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I met, we'll call him Frank for sake of conversation. His name's Charles. But I met him in Los Angeles doing another Disaster Drum with David Thomas. And he liked listening to me, so we were in Los Angeles, and he wanted to know if I'd do a couple tunes in a studio with him, which I did. And then I went home. And at the time, the Pixies were not together, and then they got back together, and they came to Akron, and I went down to hear him, and he had me backstage, and he wanted to know if I would go to Nashville, which I did, and played with a bunch of heavy hitters that he had assembled. I had no business being there.
This is a Frank Black solo album?
Yeah, it was called Lost Man, Raider Man. It's a double CD.
Oh, okay.
But Steve Cropper was there recording, Spooner Oldham, the guy that recorded with Aretha at Muscle Shoals, Buddy Miller was there. It was an amazing thing, and we recorded at a guy by the name of Jack Clemens, his studio. So one of the songs that got played or was recorded was John Barleycorn was the name of the song, and Frank's manager got him on Conan O'Brien, and he called me on the phone and asked me if I'd come to New York and play on it, which I said, sure. And then we played Brooklyn that night, and then a couple nights later Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland, and then Louisville. That's about that.
You played the House of Blues.
Oh, yeah, House of Blues in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Was it fun being on Conan? And was that a heck of an experience, or just normal?
Oh, it was surreal. Surreal. It was really cold in the studio. And I remember the tenor player in the house band looked at me and went, can't do that on radio, but pointed at me and smiled, and, and it was like, you were in makeup and all that TV stuff.
Right.
And I met Conan O'Brien, who's huge, very tall.
Very tall, yeah.
Very tall man, very big man. And Pete Diddy was the other guest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who I did not get to meet, but he walked past me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's professional show business, huh?
He had an entourage. It was unbelievable. They all had Gucci bags. About 20 people following him around.
Jeez.
They all had Gucci bags.
Yeah.
I mean, the shopping bag.
Right.
They'd all been to Gucci's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's really about all there is to that.
The way we met him was he was a character in a sort of a fake opera that David Thomas put together called Mirror Man.
Mirror Man?
Yeah, and he would hire people to play the parts, and my brother worked in his little, if you want to call it an orchestra,
Right.
the pit orchestra, but they were on stage because he played a lot of music, and it was really very beautifully done, and it was really very interesting. And when we got to Los Angeles, Charles was playing one of the parts that the guys from England did. He read a letter or something. And then that guy from...
this name I'm not going to get.
Yeah, right.
He wrote with Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys.
Yeah, well, that's another guy, too, very famous. His name sounds like a house or a property.
Is it Van Dyke Parks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
How the hell did you? You're good at that stuff.
I was helpful. But that's not who I'm thinking of. It was the guy from that.
Oh, George Wendt.
Yeah, George Wendt was in
From
it.
Cheers.
Oh, okay.
He had a part in that.
Yeah.
Yes, he
I was in Los Angeles walking down the street, and George Wendt pulled over. He goes, "Hey, Jack, do you need a ride?" And I went, "Well, no, actually, I was out for a walk." You know, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
Really friendly guy.
You know what? I didn't know that disaster drums, carried on from Cleveland. We, Dave Thomas and John Thompson, he owned Hidio's record, Disco Drum, and they did a number of disaster drums at the old WHK Auditorium that became the Agora later on, and Bizarros played there, and Perubu, but I didn't know they did them in other states, huh?
Well, they did it when David moved to England. Mm-hmm. They did one in London, and because the guy who was the event coordinator and booking agent for the South Bank Center was a huge fan of David Thomas's, and when he left, he went to Los Angeles.
UCLA.
He went to UCLA. His name was Sufton, David Sufton. Mm-hmm. And he got, and that's one of the reasons the whole band went to London, because they called it Outro, and he was leaving, and David got him to hire all kinds of people to play, and we were on that bill.
Yeah.
Getting back to Frank Black and recording in Nashville, he was driving me back and forth to this beautiful hotel, and I looked at him. I said, "Why do you have me here?" I mean, these guys were reading the music, and they were like studio pro,
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "I have you here so it'll sound human."
Oh, man. It's a hell of a compliment.
And normal and not polished and not, so it'll have an edge on it. That's why I brought you to the studio.
Nice.
Which goes back to what we discussed in the first episode of this thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we offer.
Right.
I would dicker with the truth. That's a huge statement. But never mind. We don't have time for that. Not today.
Not next year.
But we'll have a discussion privately.
So when I last saw you guys, it was at Jilly's Music Room about a month ago, roughly. And you guys played a great show, 3 sets. It was very enjoyable. And I was curious, Robert, about your guitar playing. It strikes me that and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not an expert on this stuff. I'm a mere drummer, but it struck me that you were using some kind of interesting tunings on the guitar. Am I correct about that, or is that a?
I do use a tuning on the instrument.
Well,
I will reveal it. It's called standard tuning.
So it is. Okay.
I don't use tunings. I used to.
Okay.
But what I learned from playing in tunings was I just applied it to standard tuning.
I see. Okay.
There's no reason in getting into all
Sometimes he plays out of tuning.
there's no reason to get into the the technical aspect.
Sure. No.
That did not go unnoticed.
I'm still thinking about that.
It's on tape now,
Yeah,
too.
that
The funny thing is the way I play, no one knows anyway.
I was just going to say, I still think about how great your solo is on Thunderhead. If I still had Clone
Well, can we
Records-
stop the discussing this stuff? I mean, I appreciate that very, very much, but I do. But I don't like hearing that stuff. It makes me feel uncomfortable, nervous.
Okay, sure.
I get a little bit agitated, filled with rage.
And I'm right next to you.
I get frightened and paranoid. So
Yeah,
can
I've
we
got the
just
window
move
behind
on?
me. I can jump out if it worst comes to worst. Let me ask you about the current incarnation of the band, okay? Get it off you guys individually and talk about the band as a whole. Because you're really like a finely tuned machine, it seems to me. I mean, it's so fascinating to watch you play and how tight you are. And, I am going to say this. I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable, but Nick and I have said many times, and so is Harvey Gold and Chris Butler and a number of other people that I play music with and I'm friends with, and everyone agrees. And these are all guys who have been following you for years. You guys are as good, if not better now than you've ever been as a performing unit. So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, do you guys practice a lot, or is it become a thing of intuition?
We've been
now,
playing
or?
for 53 years.
Yeah, that would help. Yeah.
And we've been playing a lot until COVID,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
We played.
Mm-hmm.
We played.
Yeah.
When was that? Okay,
Right.
2022.
Yeah.
We never stopped playing from
Right.
1970 to 2022.
Right.
And then we stopped playing, and we're still trying to get our shit back together.
Yeah.
If you want to become a legend, because they keep referring to us as legendary,
Right.
there's only one thing you need to do, and that's keep showing up. Unfortunately, the people keep showing up to hear us.
So, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I always thought I was kind of a slow learner. So it makes sense to me that I would be better. If you're not better when you've been doing it, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Why? I mean, people play music, and I'm not being critical. I'm just saying everybody has their own reason why they play music. And I play music, and Jack plays music, and the people that work in this band play music because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beginning and the end of it.
Right.
There is no other reason that I play music. And I'm quite humbled and honored that people still come to hear us play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason
Yeah.
that we're still here.
Yeah.
Is they come and we play.
Mm-hmm.
When they stop coming, we may still be playing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
in
why.
my basement.
Yeah.
Right.
We do rehearse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we rehearse. And
We always rehearse new material.
New songs, right. Yeah.
people expect new material.
Mm-hmm.
They expect it. That's why they come. And we work on new material. Jack writes, I write, and Terry, we all rehearse. We still rehearse. We don't rehearse as much as we used to because people's lives are in the way. And
Sure. Yeah.
so on and so forth. But no, I mean, we rehearsed, week before last. You still rehearse, Nicholis.
Yeah. Twice
You
a
guys
week.
rehearse, right?
Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
There you go. You must have gotten good.
No,
I don't know because I've heard you recently, and I thought it was great, but I don't ever remember hearing you before. I don't think I didn't
always
go
working.
to anywhere. I don't go anywhere anyway, but I mean, back then I went out even less.
In the old days, the 5 or 6 times we'd play 10 times a year, you were always playing the same night.
Yeah, right.
There were a lot of people we didn't see because we were playing so much.
Sure. Yeah.
And you didn't get to know them. I didn't get to know you back when you were in Unit 5. I didn't know you.
We were usually playing in the same building, but on a
Right
different floor.
downstairs or
Yeah.
whatever.
Up or down, yeah.
Yeah.
we were talking to Charlie Wiener not long ago, and he's the one that said that's because we were always playing. I just met him a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I met him over the years, but to sit down and talk with him.
Right, sure. Yeah.
And I'm horrible with recognizing people anyway.
Oh, man, that's the worst thing for me now.
To end the discussion, we had better have gotten better.
Right.
And if we're not better than we used to be, we're phonies.
Yeah.
And we're not phonies.
No.
So, it's wonderful to hear that you've gotten better, but it's just because we do the work. We do the work. It's about the work.
Absolutely.
Right.
My brother and I come from working class. You do the work.
Yeah.
Speaking of work, I did get to retire finally.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And
Congratulations.
I walked into the music store and I told the woman I had retired, and she said, "Does that mean you're not going to be buying harmonicas anymore?" And I went, No, you don't understand.
Be more harmonica.
I didn't retire from that.
Hey, what brand of harmonica are you using these days?
Honer.
No, what's the
Oh, a Special 20.
Special 20, right? I thought maybe you could plug in, you might get some
Oh,
harmonica.
yeah, well,
You hear that out there?
yeah, Honer. Listen up.
Man.
I'll put your sign on my amp, and you can send me a couple $100 a month, and we're all good. It's all good.
That's all I need. Bob, you've been retired for a few years now, right?
What?
You've been retired not from music,
Oh.
but
Well, that's another thing to interrupt, but I'm going to, is that the vast majority of the men that have been in this organization all worked day jobs. We were not pampered. No one ever picked up my amp until I couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't have a guitar tech. Nobody had any of those types of things.
No.
You drag it in, you set it up, you play, and you go home. Tired. That's what we do. And not for 2 years, 3 years, for 53 years.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know, was that a lack of intelligence or something?
That's what you do.
Part of the fun. That's for sure.
There's a whole very dark story about leading into having to go and get day jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I got in the band, I didn't need a day job.
Okay.
Because I was making enough money playing with the band that my rent was covered in one night
Nice.
for my monthly rent.
Yeah.
I didn't need a job. Then things went south very fast after the Cove burned down.
Yeah.
And the Vietnam War.
And I needed to get a job.
Yeah.
I didn't realize all your equipment was gone too, man. That would make it 10 times worse.
Well, we don't want to discuss that.
I don't want to get into it. It's too. It's just dark and.
Sure. Yeah. Awful
know,
I'll
memories.
say things I shouldn't.
And the other thing is, it's not really very interesting.
Yeah.
It's
I'll say
just,
things I shouldn't say. I'm already working
we
really
were
hard
taking
at it.
taxes out
Yeah.
of our money,
Right.
and we had money,
Yeah.
and we spent all of it on buying new equipment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It was like we recorded Jimmy Bell at the goddamn Agora. All right?
Wow.
And WMMS had just broke David Bowie and all these, and we were the next Cleveland thing, and the Cove burned down. And was like, these guys got bad juju. This is bad juju. That was the end. We got the tapes, right? Of course, there were other reasons that I'm not going to get into, but I mean, that was essentially it. The Cove burned down. And it was like, we were like, bad juju. Here's your tapes. Thanks a lot. It was great knowing you. And that was the end of it.
But in terms of the current band, Bill Watson's on bass, and
Right.
he's marvelous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clint Allgaier's on drums. And he's an excellent drummer.
Yeah,
and
no, the rhythm
they're not
section's
looking
great,
to.
yeah.
They don't look at the band as a vehicle to their fame and their fortune. Because a lot of people have left because they realize that the fame and fortune may not show up,
Right.
and they had to get out for themselves.
Yeah.
There's the dead silence.
Well, I'm thinking about people that played in your band. Of course, Chris Butler played with you guys, and I think Jerry Cassell played with you guys, didn't he? Yeah.
Not when I was in the band.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mike Stacy, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Mike Stacy.
He still plays in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so does Chris Butler. Not often.
Yes, it's in. Yeah.
But they're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people come and go. A lot of them have passed away.
My brother gave me a picture taken of the band at the Rathskeller down on Kent campus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lithograph. And I wanted one, so he gave it to me.
Mm-hmm.
I took it home and looked at it and realized the only two people alive on the stage were me and him.
Wow.
Whoa.
The drummer was gone, the bass player was gone, and so was the horn player.
Wow.
That was when Terry was out of the band.
Terry wasn't in the band at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the picture and went,
Sure. Yeah.
Well, the only way to avoid that is to quit.
Yeah.
And you don't have that problem. Get out of when you're 30. Nobody dies. Well, that's not exactly true, but it's rare.
I mean, we were talking about COVID, and Bob and I have discussed this over that time, but when I was working a job on Monday morning, when I would wake up and put my feet on the floor, I knew I had to play that Friday or that Saturday or both of them. I knew on Monday morning where my week was going to end up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And COVID hit and we couldn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, this is kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't have to worry about getting out there and moving all that equipment, doing that, and leaving it on the stage and coming home feeling like I've been run over by a truck. And I don't have to go through any of that.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when we came back into it, then it had, I don't know that it had another meaning, but it was kind of life affirming.
Kind of revived a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Now, Terry Hind, we should talk about him a little bit. Probably going to have him on the podcast at somewhere down the line. But was he originally in the band? Was he an original member of the band, or how early?
Yes.
Yes, he was. Okay.
Yes. That band was still in Wadsworth when Terry joined, and I was with a woman I was seeing at the time, and we went to see a woman and her band at what's the big amphitheater out there? Boston Mills. Not Boston Mills. Come on, guys, help me out here. Anyway, I can't remember the
venue.
I can't remember much of anything, not because I don't care about it, but I mean, who put together the holding company?
Big Brother, Janis
Or
Joplin.
Janis Joplin.
So we went to see Janis Joplin at
like Blossom?
Blossom Center.
Yeah.
And she was with that R&B group that her record company required her to put together.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty good band. Mm-hmm. And I'm there with this woman I was seeing at the time, and she goes, she was from over in west side of Akron, and she said, see that guy over there? He's a really good horn player. You should go talk to him. So I walked over. I said, hey, I'm so-and-so and so-and-so. I got a band. You want to try out, sit in with us and play? And he went, yeah, and that was that.
Wow. Okay.
That was ages ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that band that Janis had was the Full Tilt Boogie Band.
Yeah,
I think that was the name.
That's it,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't remember her name. I saw her play a couple times. Muddy Waters opened for her one time.
Wow.
In Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I was in New York. I was probably about 13 or 14. We just come from seeing Pearl Bailey and Mame or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So my parents were behind me, and we got in front of Sardi's, which is a famous
Sure. Right. Restaurant. Yeah.
movie star restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And Janis Joplin got out of the cab and ran right into me. And she had to apologize to me and was fussing over me. And I thought, that looks like Janis Joplin, you know? And then Dick Cavett got out of the back of the cab. And
Yeah.
so I never got to see her, but I did see her.
My story, like, I was gone with a friend of mine to the Kent Community Store, and a black limousine pulled up and next to us, and window went down and asked for direct. It was Dorothy Foldheim.
Dorothy.
That was my big
Yes, Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Brush with fame.
Bizarre's actually are working on a song about Goulardi, and we had Dorothy's featured in it.
Cheap Thrills, right? That was one of her records.
Yeah.
And
Big-
that's what we
yeah,
named
Big
the
Brother
record
and
store.
Holding Company, and yeah, Janis.
We named the
Janis
record
is-
store in Spicertown after
Mm-hmm.
that.
That's right.
It was right across from DeMarini's.
Yeah. When we had that, Bob, you and I were talking the other day about one of your bass player that had a record store, and you had something to do with that record store.
Yeah, we don't have time to get into that.
Oh yeah, that's a good story. Anyway, Cheap Thrills. Now I remember it.
Yeah.
Next to the Turtle, the Duck, and Cynthia.
Well, I thought I'd say something. I felt bad I couldn't remember. And it's even worse, I can't remember Boston, whatever it is, out there.
Well,
Very famous place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's weird that Janis Joplin comes up because we were just talking the other day about my wife saw Janis Joplin at Blossom. And then
I was there.
Scott Shepard, time traveler, he was at that show as well. Yeah, there was a whole conversation about that, who was there and who wasn't there. But that, the Cheap Thrills album with her and Big Brother and the Holding Company, that had that iconic album cover. Remember, it was R. Crumb.
R. Crumb,
did the
Robert
art.
Crumb.
Yeah, Robert Crumb. Yeah.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we were talking about just the way that music is now and the effect that MTV and videos had on music, that somebody like Janis Joplin probably could make it today, because she wasn't conventionally attractive enough,
Just like us, like you said, we have a face for radio.
Yeah. But just one last thing with Terry Hine to you, Jack, which is, you guys play such interesting stuff together. Do you work a lot of that stuff out? Has it just become a spontaneous thing over the years?
Some of it's spontaneous. A lot of it's worked out.
Yeah.
So I went to see Count Basie with Ella Fitzgerald and at Blossom.
Okay.
I was sitting in the front row, and there was a guy, Eddie the Lockjaw Davis, playing tenor.
Yeah.
And I was watching him very closely, and I went, I can do that. I can do that. So I bought the saxophone, and Terry and Tim kind of helped me along the way a little bit, And then, we work a lot of this. The heads are worked out.
Sure.
We just worked through a new head that he had in his head. And he kind of verbalized it to me, and then I kind of learned it, and then brought Terry in, and we kind of learned it together. But then when it comes to soloing together, we don't.
Right.
We were all very affectionate with Sun Ra and Albert Ayler and a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I mean, we were very affected by those gentlemen. And I think we should mention Tim Maglione, who has passed within so many years ago. He was a great tenor player. You can hear some of his playing on the Jimmy Bell CDs. It's beautiful stuff.
Can he bring a Barry with him, baritone?
And also Drake Gleason, who was the bass player on that record, has passed within. So has David Robinson.
Yeah.
Who else?
That's it.
They were all on that record.
Yeah.
So they need to be honored.
Yeah, it definitely.
There was Paul Ferry was a bass player. He was in the band before Jack was in the band, and he's gone too.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good bass player.
Yeah.
It's amazing, to me, and I'm sure Jack feels the same way, when you look back through the history of the band, what a blessing it's been to have so many great musicians.
Yeah.
These people that worked in this band were not hacks. And I think that part of it was because they had this desire, but they hadn't been playing that much. But they had a great desire to be good. And then the band offered them an opportunity. If you're playing the same place 4 nights a week, that's a lot of playing, week after week after week after month, and you have an opportunity to really play, and you're doing it in a real situation. You're not sitting in your bedroom playing to a tape or a record or anything. You're on stage in front of people who want to hear you play, and you're playing. And I think it gives you, it challenges you. And if you want to develop, and if that's something that you want to do, it's this perfect opportunity. You couldn't ask for a better opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And to see the people keep showing up, and just reinforcing that it's because of you they're coming back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is an ideal situation. It's
by you mean the band.
Yeah. The band. They're coming
Don't
back.
put that on me.
No, they're coming
I don't want
back.
that. I don't want that responsibility.
No, they're coming back because there's the experience of the band.
right. And all those clubs back then had that kind of quality to it, right? I mean, JB's did to a degree, and even the Bank did. People just went every week. Wasn't necessarily the same band playing every week, but same bands generally.
The Pirates Cove in Cleveland, they just had that vibe,
Yeah, right.
Well, in the larger sense, I mean, just this area of the city of Akron and that era that, in the late 70s into the 80s, I mean, look at all the people. Read the book. I mean, look at them all. They were all talented. They still are. Some of them are still playing, and, Tracy Thomas is still performing, and a lot of them are used to performing.
Right.
Probably not as much as you'd like to, but things have changed.
It's a different world, yeah.
And so, but this area, northeastern Ohio, has always been, all the way back into the 40s, a place where there's been a lot of good music and a lot of great players. And I mean, I don't know this from my own personal experience, but I know men who were playing then. Over the years, I've known them, and they told me, about it. And especially Kent State University has always been a focus point for a lot, especially during the end of the first folk movement in this country, and how it sort of bled into the second, which brought, Dylan and a lot of people, like all those other people, a list. That was all going on at Kent State.
Yeah.
So.
I remember going to a couple of the Kent State folk festivals they used to have, as a rambling Jack Elliott. So
that was a real folk festival.
Yeah, yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, Nick and I have talked before on the show about how there's still so many young, really talented musicians in this area, but it's just a different kind of, like the idea of a residency or having a club where people would come to see you on a regular basis. So many. I mean, I hate to. I know this is me moving into my old fart mode, but it's like, young people don't do that. They stay home. They're looking at their phones or their whatever they're doing. They don't seem to have that same social component wrapped up in with going out to see music that we had when we were playing, and I feel bad for a lot of these guys because I've played with some of these younger guys, and I'm telling you, they're terrific musicians, and they just, they're not frustrated by it because it's all they know. Mm-hmm. But when I talk about playing, at the bank or at JB's, and it was, every week it was packed, and they're thrilled if they get 35 people, to a gig. And to me, that is hard to, it's hard to sustain your energy level, if you just feel like you're doing all this work musically and then no one's coming to see it, we
did a lot of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah.
We played to a lot of empty rooms.
Oh, sure. Well, every band
just
does.
did it.
Yeah.
Huh?
We just did it.
Oh, yeah. Last
really?
Tuesday. A week ago today.
Uh-huh.
Kane Park.
Kane Park.
Gee.
It's a bad place.
Yeah.
I like Kane Park.
I like Kane Park.
We've never done nothing in that place.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who we are there. Yeah. And nobody cares. We do good at, where the actual action is.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I believe it's, they're offered things that we were never offered. If you wanted to hear music, you put on a record.
Right.
You couldn't just put in some earbuds, get on your phone and dial up, 5,000 offers.
Right.
And then listen to them. So that might have something to do with it.
Right. It's cheaper.
Unless your name is Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Right.
Or Ed Sheeran.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, what I mean is people don't go to venues, bars and things to hear music that much anymore because they had these other options that we did not have.
Right.
They grew up differently than us too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our transition.
We're old.
Yeah.
Things change.
Well, I can remember back. Well, I can't actually remember back, but I'd like to remember back
when you could drive drunk.
Yeah, that's right.
And they'd pull you over and go, "You better get home, boy."
Right. Yeah. Right. So this is From Akron and Beyond. I'm Bob Ethington with my co-host Nicholis. We've been talking to Robert and Jack Kidney about their long careers in music and their, I don't think career is even the right word, their long lives in music and the great stuff they've done over the years. At last count, I count 10 Numbers Band albums. Does that sound right?
I wouldn't know.
Looking at doing my library thing, I think there's...
I'd have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I just brought the entire catalog.
Okay, nice.
You can count them. There's more than 10.
Okay. Well,
if you count Jack's solo. As
now,
my
I was
solo.
just doing band albums, but I was going to ask you guys about your solo records. Yeah,
And we also have a duet.
Ah, okay.
Record, a CD as well. Mm-hmm. And those all count.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Don't tell me they don't.
I wouldn't dare. Yeah, so, Jack, you got to kind of explore your jazzy roots and stuff on your solo album. I thought kind of had a cool vibe to it.
I enjoyed doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah,
actually.
Didn't you play all the instruments on it?
I did.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
There's a couple of them that have loops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That the computer.
Yeah.
But what I did was I would put the loops together and then I'd go play the track back and I'd flaw it so that it was flawed. So it just wasn't perfect.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Hmm.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The musicians never bitched. The clock wasn't ticking.
Right.
And if I had to do it over, I did it over.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And it reminded me of being young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like 10.
Yeah. Playing with music.
Yeah, right.
Not just playing it, but playing with it.
Right.
Nick, do you have any further questions or anything for the gentleman?
No, not really. It's been an amazing time.
Yeah.
Been fun.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate having you both on, Robert.
You are
and
very
Jack.
welcome.
We have highly valued your music for a long time, and it's just been great. We're always at the top of our list of people we wanted to have on the show. So it's been really interesting and really great to have you here. So
thank you so much, guys.
Yes, thank you indeed. All right, so this
was
has been
an honor.
Thank you
To be here. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just did.
Well, that's quite all right. That was a nice interruption. So this has been From Akron and Beyond with Bob Ethington, Nick Nicholis, and we will see you next time.